Welcome to What's Going On, the weekly podcast and videocast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota.
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of What's Going On. I'm Pastor Katie here at First United Methodist Church, and I'm glad you could join me for this episode. As you can see, I have with me today Tiffany Beste, who is here because we had a big week in the church.
We did.
We had two massive events back to back on Tuesday and Wednesday. And so I invited Tiffany to come to help me talk a little bit and reflect on those events. And so let's kind of dive into it. Before we do, though, I do want to give a special thanks to Carl Watkins for leading worship on Sunday while I was out of the state. I'm very grateful to Carl and for his willingness to step into that role. And so thank you, Carl, for preaching. He always says that to me every Sunday after service. He'll before he leaves, he'll say, "Hey, thanks for preaching." So
back at you, Carl.
Back at you.
Yeah, thanks, Carl.
And so on Tuesday, we had our soup kitchen. This is an annual event that we have. And I mean, I don't know why I'm explaining it to you. If you're watching this podcast, I think you are aware.
Yeah.
But I would say phenomenal success.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Lots of, when you pulled up, there was hard to find a spot to park. And I was told that well before 4:30, there was a line formed ready to come in and eat, because they all know how good the food is going to be here. So we're known in the community.
It's true. I mean, I've heard that said like by our church members, but I stand out and greet, and I'm kind of the first person that people encounter when they come into the church. And what I hear more often than not is, "This one's my favorite. This one's my favorite." So that's really good. And then as people leave, I'm always asking, did you get enough to eat? How was it? Oh, so good. I'm gonna have to go home and lay down. Like
Lots of food to get, and a lot of it was eaten. Like we did well getting rid of what we had made.
By the time I went to eat, there were no taverns left. And we made 60 pounds of tavern meat, which is, I think, what we normally make, but I think we were out of it in the first hour and a half, I would say.
Yeah, I would say by shortly after 6, the tavern meat was gone.
So I think shout out to Diane for making such good tavern meat. That was really popular. And then I heard just wonderful things about, I had the vegetable beef.
And I had the chicken noodle, and that was wonderful.
And one of the things I heard about the chicken noodle, it was a lot of chicken.
Yeah.
Which is not normally what happens with chicken noodle. If you get Campbell's, you just get those
little bits of chicken,
tiny
a lot of broth, some
Yeah.
noodles. No, this was a
Hearty.
good mixture. Yeah.
And then, of course, for me, my favorite is the pies.
Yeah. And it was hard picking.
What did you end up?
I did just get an apple. I got an apple, but it was wonderful. It was scrumptious.
I did coconut cream, which I love coconut, so that's fine by me.
Yeah.
But it's always fun to kind of see the variety of what people bring and what people are hoping for or expecting to find.
Or requesting. Do you guys have this? As a matter of fact, we do.
Before the event, I heard so much about sour cream raisin.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
Yeah.
The classic. I asked a lot of people. I heard a lot of people going for pecan pie.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Do you say pecan or pecan?
Pecan.
We are from basically the same area.
We are.
So
we talk the same.
We do.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Even from Arlington, Brookings area down to Yankton, there are differences in language.
Yep.
Which we have found, because we will say the same thing and no one else.
No, they don't know what we're talking about.
Like we would never, like there is no such thing as taverns.
No.
Up in Brookings and Arlington.
No taverns.
That's like 2 hours away.
Yep.
But when I moved to Beersford, they said taverns. But up in our area, we say barbecue.
Yep. They're barbecues.
They're barbecues.
But the school lunch menu is even taverns. Like it's just common down here.
Yeah.
So
even in my own family though, because Jason's from Arizona, but his family's from Iowa. And so he never says barbecue. And if we have barbecues, I have to call them manwich at home. Well, we also use the manwich, but that's what they know it as. And so
because barbecue is like barbecue, like ribs and barbecue
on the grill, on the smoker.
Right. But not for us. barbecues or taverns.
I wonder how far that goes. Anyway, that's tangent, but it's fun information. And I'd be curious if you're watching this, what you call those things,
Right. Yeah.
that we sold out of at the soup
Yes.
kitchen to bring it full circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was incredible. It was wonderful to see all the people coming from the community. But I would say for me, what I love even more is watching the people from our church.
Yep, I agree.
That are there and serving and involved and excited about it.
Well, and I know that from my perspective, our youth were signed up to help clean up afterwards. But when I got here at 6th, we already had youth helping in other areas too. They were doing the dishes, they were helping serve the pies. And I just love that. I mean, I think it's so important for them to start that early in life so that they just know that that's kind of something that you do. And when you become an adult, you just continue to help serve the church in whatever ways that they're doing it. So great to see the kids here eating, but I was really just impressed with our youth in that they were very helpful and productive and involved in what's happening.
So one of the cool things that happened this year that I don't believe has happened before is the leadership team decided to offer vouchers to all of our 605 families. So 605 is our children, but we also included our youth families as well. And so they handed out about 30 vouchers. Is that what we kind of figured out? The week before at 605 to invite our families to come to the soup kitchen for free. And that the leadership team themselves were going to donate to cover the cost for that. And we had, I think, 11 vouchers that were used. And so that was wonderful. And it was, I saw periodically people coming in carrying the voucher and making sure that they understood how it worked. And, but I want to give a shout out to the leadership team for that act of it came out of the sermon on radical hospitality and how do we invite and make people feel welcome. That idea was raised at the leadership team saying, is this something that we as a group can do and offer? And to their credit, the leadership team was on board with that. And so I hope that that's something that will continue, that people will continue to find ways to be hospitable and to invite even more people in.
Well, and I think it even put it more on the children and youth radar. Like they might hear soup kitchen and think, that's not something really for me as a child or a youth. But then when they were given the voucher for the family to come, like, with the date and when it's actually happening, it's like, oh, this is something that we should really go and do and be involved in. So not only that it was paid for those families that used those, but also just really putting it in their world and letting them know that this is something that we want you to come to too. It's not just for the adults of the building or something like that. So that was good.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty awesome. All right. So soup kitchen Tuesday night.
When? Good.
Awesome. Then we turned around immediately. First of all, youth group did a great job cleaning up because by the next morning we were already in Wesley Hall redecorating the space because we had trunk or treat. And the weather forecast was not favorable to have it outside.
We didn't want to be rained on. We knew that for sure, or stormed on with chance of thunder or lightning or any of that. So we moved it inside.
So Wednesday morning we were already transforming the church from harvest fall theme into Halloween. And so let's talk a little bit about that event. I mean, first of all, two massive events back to back is exhausting.
It was a lot of people. And
it's a lot of people.
When you have that many people, it's a lot of your brain's processing constantly. So it was good, really, really good. It's just, you can probably tell by looking at Katie and I today. We're on recovery mode a little bit right now. And what I think is fascinating is, I had the opportunity standing where I was again for soup kitchen to basically lay eyes on almost everybody who came in. And I had a table at trunk or treat. Maybe we should call it table or treat. I know we're going to come up with that.
And so again, was able to see almost everyone who went through. Not a lot of overlap.
No, I was going to say two very entirely different groups of people coming through our church. And I don't even know that we could put a number on it between the two nights, But I know we're talking well over 500.
Oh, I was gonna say we're probably
Approaching
pushing
1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Large amounts of people with, like you said, the overlap being very small.
Very small,
Yeah.
which was just really
Yep.
fascinating to
Yep.
me. And I think sometimes we sort of forget that, like, well, we have this big event and we do, and it's great. But
Mhm.
part of the reason we did trunk or treat is because it's bringing in very different people
Yes.
into our church.
Yeah.
And so that was really amazing. We partner with Trunk or Treat with two other churches, the UCC Church and Trinity Lutheran.
Mhm.
And maybe share a little bit more about like who's involved.
Sure. Well, and I was going to say, even just having been here for a few years and seeing the evolution of Trunk or Treat at our church, it started out very much just within our church. There really wasn't any advertising for it. Our youth put trunks together, and our children would walk around the parking lot and collect candy. It was usually very short, it wasn't anything very large. And then just over time, with bringing UCC and Trinity into it with us, that started last year. So this was our second year of combining everybody and then putting it out to the public. It's kind of mind-blowing how large it is and how many people come through to do that trunk or treating. So in general, most of the trunks this year tables are youth or confirmation kids from each of the churches. That's who does a majority of those. Our church does a really good job of having just congregation members become involved in that too. And we're going to have some pictures and some things that we can show you from that. So I think we ended up with, our guess was about 20 tables or groups that put together trunks with treats at them. But I would say number of people that were involved in that, I would say at least 2 per table. Some had 10 per table or 8 per table or 4 per table. So or one. Yeah. So it's a wide variety of what the trunks are like, what the tables are like, how they're getting put together. But we probably have about 100 people that are involved in making those trunks or those tables happen for the kids. Last night, I think, so we did it a little different this year, where everyone was supposed to bring in a non-perishable or a personal hygiene item to vote for their favorite trunk. But it also helped us gauge a little bit how many kids actually came through. Our guess is, and some kids maybe didn't have an item to put at a trunk, but our guess was about 140 to 150 kids voted. And most of them came through with at least a parent. So we were looking at I would say over 300 kids, parents, and that wasn't the youth or the people that had trunks. So I think we were looking at an involvement of about 400 or more people, either providing the treats, providing the candy, putting up the displays, or coming through and going through for the trunk or treat. So it's just the people that came through our church that we don't know. And hoping that they maybe came through and were like, hey, this was pretty awesome. And Katie made up some little cards that were out that just kind of had our service on it. And so they could pick one of those up.
So I got to give credit to Diane Kish for thinking about that. And so we created, these small cards that had our name. It had when our worship services were, when our children's programming. And so they were at my table, and then I recruited someone to help me, and she would just pop those into their bags, into the buckets and bags, because again, we don't know. And some of those kids were probably from Trinity or UCC,
right?
But at the same time, there also are community people who are not connected at all. And so we wanted it to be an opportunity to invite them back, or to say, hey, this is something that you can keep coming to. And so
and just, I know that I saw our neighborhood kids. We've been, it's interesting, we have, if you haven't noticed, now have the playground up outside, and the Gaga ball court that has been out there, and we've been starting to see some of the neighborhood kids utilizing those. So a couple of different times we've gone out and talked to them, and so we know who they are, and we did see them coming through trunk or treat last night as well. So making those connections with those people in our neighborhood, in our community, that are being drawn in a different way than just knowing that there's a Sunday morning worship. There's things that are here for them that we are trying to connect them with. So that was fun to see.
It was really cool to look out yesterday afternoon and see there was like I don't know, like 7 or 8 kids playing on the playground. And I was
mhm.
just watching them for a bit and going, this is exactly what we were hoping
Yeah,
for, was
yeah.
that this would be a place where they would be comfortable and
Yeah.
happy and want to be here and feel like this church cares about them.
Right. Yeah.
And so it made me like everything that we went through with getting that playground in place,
Yeah.
worth it.
Worth
And
it,
seeing that it is already being utilized. It is immediately, my kids went to it like a magnet.
Parks really
Mhm.
are a magnet. I mean, we know that when
Yeah.
our kids are little and they see any playground, they want to go play at it.
Yeah.
So,
And they'd been waiting because I
Mhm.
wouldn't let them go until we got the wood chips down.
Mhm.
So, you know, like they just kind of had that itch to get over there. And so I was really pleased that when we had people from the community coming to our church, that the playground was done
Yes.
and ready so
Yeah,
they
they
could
could see
see it.
that. Yeah.
Because it is, when you drive by our church, it changes the view.
Yep.
And it
Yep.
and it becomes a focal point,
Mhm.
especially if you're coming from the south. You see that playground
Yeah.
almost before you see the church, and it's so bright and it's so
Yeah.
colorful, and it's really awesome. And so I just again want to give a shout out, especially to the Richardson family for creating the fund that was used to help pay for that. They had a heart for have a heart for children in particular, and really wanting the church to invest in children.
Yep.
And so again, thank you for your continued investment in the church, and to the leadership team for honoring that gift by using it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we kind of get into a habit of, let's put that away for a rainy day. You know,
Hey, we had a rainy day yesterday.
That's
and
right.
look at that.
was
We
the
had a
day.
use for it. Yes.
But especially when people are giving endowments, when they're giving memorial gifts, they want to know that that gift is being used.
Well, and sometimes it's nice to have something you can see.
Yeah.
Like there's uses for gifts at times that sometimes you never get to really see what it's going to, but that is definitely something where it's like, we did that.
Yeah.
We helped that happen. So that's cool.
And it's blessing our kids, and
Yes.
it's blessing our neighborhood, and it's blessed. So I'm just super happy that got done in time for our events, where now a lot of people in the community have seen that we have that playground in place.
Yep.
So that was really cool. So part of she kind of talked a little bit about it, but part of Trunk or Treat this year was the way that they did voting was by bringing non-perishable or hygiene item, and use that for voting. And then all of those items were donated to the contact center.
Right. And I think like I said, I know we had 140 of those items get put into bags to vote, but I would say within our church, at least 3 times that, maybe 4 times that. I mean, we had boxes of items leaving the church that were not used to vote that equaled plus a lot more what was used to vote. So
much so that the director of the contact center, who was there last night with her family, had a hard time fitting everything in her vehicle.
Yeah, I don't think she anticipated there being quite that much. Yeah, which is great. Like that's so good when you can't fit it all into one space. But that was a really neat part of last night too, I think.
Right. And I think honestly a really important part of it is because not only we do those things, one, to bring people together and to have a safe place for people to bring their kids and to have fun, but also anytime that we can partner those kind of things with a mission or a project that can benefit others, that's what we're going to try to do as a church. And so I loved the way that they incorporated that. We had contact center bags out as where you can collect your items. And so I'm just really pleased to be able to partner with the contact center in that way, and make this event kind of unique in that way.
Well, and I was talking about with the youth that helped at the soup kitchen. It's a great way to kind of instill that in young kids too. Like, yep, we're going to go to this place where you're going to get, I saw a pillowcase full of candy, but at the same time, we're going somewhere where we're going to get something, but we can also take something to help others in our community and kind of let them see that it's a give and take, and teach them young how we can be helpful to all the people that are in our community.
And also, let's just I want to just lift this up. Our teenagers were at the church 2 nights serving this week, back to back.
And they're excited about it. Like that's, when we start talking about these things that are going to happen, and, like I tell them, don't forget, we're going to be on cleanup crew. And then when they ask, can we come earlier to help with something? Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, you can.
Mhm.
And being excited about getting their decorations for their trunk ready, and being the ones, I don't know how they're managing it, but they're purchasing that candy, that they're bringing that in, knowing
Mhm.
that it's just going to be given to other people. And that's just such important lessons that they can learn at this young age. And like we said, hopefully carry out into when they're adults and doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Love it. It's good.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I probably should mention that we did not take home the golden pumpkin. We did not have the favorite. That was our hope that
Next
the
year.
golden pumpkin would stay here. We got plans though.
We do. We're gonna keep working forward towards that.
And not to say that I think we had some of the best.
We did. We had some really great. There was
Mhm.
just great trunk decoration ideas and themes across the board.
Yeah, people really bring it.
Yeah, they do.
It's
fun.
impressive. So after trunk or treat, as if we didn't have enough happening.
Right.
After trunk or treat,
Yeah.
the women of the church
Yeah.
did a women's night out.
Yep.
And we had I think I counted 17.
That's what I was saying. I would say at least 16, but yeah, 17.
17
Good.
women that gathered down at the boathouse. Honestly, I think just to decompress.
Yeah, absolutely.
It had been a crazy couple days,
Yep.
and it was a great opportunity to just relax and
Yep.
visit and get to know each other. And
it was good.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
We had to rearrange the tables at the
5 tables we had to push. But it worked. It was good. We got us all around one area, and it was it's hard for women and moms to find a night. You can sporadically find your own nights, but for everybody to be able to come together on one evening, and that one Wednesday night here at church is kind of a nice one in that everybody's doing things at the same time instead of children's being at this time and then youth being at this time and bells it's just everything happens at the same time. So on that one night that year of the year, all the moms and women are kind of available. They're in town, they're together. We send the kids home in whatever way we can do that with either dads or siblings or however, and we all have that opportunity. And it's just so rare that it's great to be able to capitalize on it and get us all together. And it is just nice to, when you're connecting with people from the church and kind of recognizing that you're all in the same place and you're all busy and overwhelmed, but yet so nice to be able to get together and just enjoy relaxing time. It was great.
And there was a range of ages and stages of life.
Yes. I mean, I would say we might have been approaching a 50-year age range. I don't know. Maybe that's a little, that's close though.
I think that might be
at least 40. There was at least a 40-year age range there. And so that's really fun that we can all get together and enjoy being together that way.
And I do want to highlight that again, this is women's night out. So there's no other qualification there other than if you're available and you're a woman, you can come. So
we'll be getting out more information about our next endeavor. Whatever that might
Tammy
be.
Downs is taking over coordination of the women's night out, and she's got an app that she's going to be using.
There's got to be an app for that.
And so if you're interested, let us know, or let Tammy know if you know who she is. She's relatively newer to the church, but God bless her for having a heart for women and getting them together. She's a young mom as well, so she understands the challenges, but she also understands, I think, the need for it. And I think so often as moms, especially when we're in the thick of things, we care so much about the needs of everyone else in our family, and we forget about our own needs and especially our own need for community. And so my encouragement is, one, we're going to try to again put the dates out whenever they get scheduled. Do your best to try to make that happen, because you deserve to have a night out as well.
The one other thing I want to touch on that's coming up too, and again with our youth, is next Wednesday night, our youth will be doing their annual sack pack at Calvary Baptist. So once a year, our youth go and help pack those bags of meals that go home with our kids in the community who sign up to have those. Some of those meals help our families get through entire weekends of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, having kids at home where, there's no one else to provide those meals during the day. So if you are interested at all in helping our youth do that, always the more hands, the faster things go. So Calvary Baptist.
Well, it's Calvary, but it's Food for Thought.
Yes,
is the
sorry, it's Food for
organization.
Thought
It's
that does it.
housed in Calvary
Yep.
Baptist, but
It's the Food
just to
for
be
Thought
clear,
here in Yankton.
yeah,
Yep,
it's
that make that happen.
Yeah, and they do great work. So
yeah, so 5:15 on Wednesday. If you're looking for some way to help out with our youth or help out in the community, we would love to have you join us, because they're going to be on night 3 in like 8 days of
service,
serving. Yeah,
pretty
so
amazing.
it is. It's fun.
It's almost like they're what is it? Extravagantly generous with their time and their energy and their gifting.
Risk-taking mission and service.
Ooh, I like it.
Stepping outside their comfort zone. Yeah.
But there's a scripture passage that I think goes along with that from 2 Timothy, and it says, "Do not let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in life, in love, in faith, and in purity." That was Paul talking to his protege Timothy, and in youth ministry that always resonated with me, because as I watch teenagers who are on fire for God, they really know what they're doing, and they really, I think, put a lot of us adults to shame on how much they are willing to do for Christ.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I feel like this coming Sunday is our final sermon in our fruitful practices of 5 practices of fruitful congregations. I'm never going to get that right. Series. We're going to be talking about extravagant generosity. This is also the Sunday to bring your pledge cards in. We're going to be doing a blessing over those. So make sure you get those in. If you're not going to be here this Sunday, you can turn those in at any time. You can also do those online through our website. If you go on the Give tab, there's a stewardship subcategory. Click that and you can find the online version. The online version is still confidential. It goes again to the same person who gets the ones that are slips as well. So know that is a valid way to do that. And again, I would encourage you to prayerfully consider what God is asking you to give. If you are not a regular giver yet, if you're kind of I'll give when I'm there, if I'm there, to consider potentially budgeting in your pledge for 2024 and using either the direct Vanco, which is our online giving, or through your bank, you can do a direct deposit. And those are great ways so that even if you're not around, if you're off on whatever needs to happen, you don't have to worry about, did I give last week or not? You just know that your commitment is being taken care of. And so we really appreciate that. And thank you in advance for your generosity. And then the next Sunday, November 5th, we have Rebecca Treves coming, and she will lead in worship. She's our district superintendent. And then following worship will be our Charge Conference. That's our annual church meeting. Excuse me. And we'll also feed you lunch that day. And so again, get those on your calendar. Those are really important dates coming up. We are going to be meeting, the nominations team will be meeting this coming Monday on the 30th to go over applications for leadership team. So if you are planning to apply for leadership team, we do need that application in before that meeting. Would be really helpful.
Hard to go over it if it's not here. Yeah.
And again, we also are looking for people who are interested in being annual conference delegates in particular. That's an area that we do have a need for. And so if you are interested in what's going on in the broader United Methodist Church, that would be a great opportunity. Again, you do need to be a member of the church to put your name in the ring for that one.
This coming Sunday is also Bucket Sunday, 5th Sunday of the month.
Yes.
With that money going towards Loads of Love, which is still happening here regularly.
Actually, we're doing Loads of Love on the 31st. And special thanks to the Bibles and Brews group, because they are covering it, because they figured there's probably a lot of people going to be busy on the 31st of October. And so they said, we're going to cover that one. So thank you to Bibles and Brews, but also thank you in advance for your generosity toward Loads of Love. That's one of the ministries that we have continuing, and it's ongoing, and it's reaching people. If you ever have questions about what we're doing there and why we are doing it, please come talk to me. I have story after story of just incredible things and conversations and connections that happen. I think I shared this one last week, but I'm going to share it again because it just happened not that long ago and it just makes me smile. But the last time I served Loads of Love, there was a couple that came in to get their laundry done. And we have prayer cards that people can fill out. And when I'm there, I like to direct people toward those if possible. And they made the joke of like, this is too small for all the needs that I have. Do you have like a notebook I could use or something? And I said, I'll do you one better. I'm a pastor. I can pray for you right now. And the gentleman's kind of smiled at that. And then he was joking about his wife and how she probably has a lot of prayer requests about him. And then he said something that just really stuck with me. He says, I tell her every single day how much I love her. And then I think it was just a couple of weeks ago, I saw them in Hy-Vee and I turned the aisle and they were right there. And I looked at him and I looked at her and I was like, I know you. And they're like, we know you too. And then it dawned on me and I said, you tell your wife you love her every single day. And he's like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And then we realized how we knew each other. Sure. But that's connection would have never happened without Loads of Love. And so I'm just so grateful that we've gotten involved in that ministry. And I would love it if you would consider supporting it with your dollars, but also supporting it by going and volunteering with it.
This would be a good Tuesday to go check it out because the Bibles and Brews group that are going to work kind of know what's happening. So it would be a great day to just go see it in action.
I also think they're bringing candy. So
great. We should give them some of our candy that we have left. Let's do that.
Let's do that. All right. Well, I think that is a lot that's happening. And I hope you check out on our Facebook page. We have FUMC online as well. Mm-hmm. We'll be sharing some of the photos of our events there also. If you have photos that you would like, yes, we would love to see them.
Yep. Share them with us.
Share them with us. And yeah, is there anything else that we probably need to talk about? I'm not sure.
I think we about covered it. I think we got a lot of stuff that we did, a lot of stuff that's coming, but
can you tell, that
our brains are
it's been a big week. God bless. I love it.
It's been a great week.
Yeah. So with that, I'm gonna say go Yankton.
Yeah, we got our Yankton gear going today.
I'm repping Lincoln Elementary today. Here they have a pretty good principal of I
hear that too. Hopefully,
yeah. All right, well, until next time, God bless.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of What's Going On, a podcast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. We'd love to have you join us for worship on Wednesday nights at 6:15 or Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. You can also worship with us online at firstumcyankton.org or find us on YouTube.